and welcome. This is the assembly video of the Jora Composter model JK270 medium composter. To assemble the composter, you'll need one manual screwdriver, one electric screwdriver. This is optional, but we do recommend it. One 13mm and one 14mm wrench, or a 1/2 inch and a 9/16 inch wrench. One adjustable wrench and one plier. First, unpack the box and take a quick inventory of the parts. To properly assemble the composter, you should have an assembly instruction and operation manual, a large composter panel with 2 lids, 3 single panels that have handles attached to them, 2 single panels without handles, 1 single panel that has 2 latches on it, 2 octagon-shaped panels with air holes, 2 octagon-shaped foam insulation pieces. Both should have larger holes and 1 small hole in the middle. 1 octagon-shaped foam insulation piece with only 1 small hole in the middle. 2 large octagon plastic plates, 2 A-frame stand pieces, 1 support rod that looks like an X, 2 smaller flat rods, 2 metal pipes, 2 thinner rods that are threaded on each side, 1 longer plastic tube, 2 medium-sized plastic tubes, 2 smaller plastic tubes, 20 plastic screws and bolts, 28 self-tapping screws, 6 bolts, 10 nuts, 12 plastic washers. Instructions. Using a 13mm or 1/2 inch wrench and a plier, screw 2 nuts into each side of the threaded rods. Remove one of the nuts and put it aside. This will be used later. Take the 2 threaded rods, one of the flat rods, one of the A-frame pieces, a bolt, and a nut. Locate the back leg on the frame piece. The back leg has 2 additional holes. Attach the flat rod to the front leg using a bolt and a nut. Attach the flat rod to the back leg of the A-frame using one of the threaded rods. Slide it through the flat rod and the A-frame. Slide the second threaded rod through the holes on the A-frame where it bends. Secure the flat rod onto the front leg of the A-frame using a 13mm or 1/2 inch and a 14mm or 9/16 inch wrench. Laying the composter on its side, slide the 2 metal pipes over the threaded rods. Insert the long plastic tube over the metal pipe that's attached to the A-frame where it bends. Slide the small plastic tube over the long plastic tube. Slide one of the metal octagon panels onto the plastic rod. Sometimes this can be tricky, but if you use some soap to lubricate it, it slides easily. Either way, take your time and slowly push it downward using both hands. Now it's time to insert one of the foam insulation parts. Take a piece out of the ones that has 2 holes. Insert one of the medium-sized plastic tubes and push it down into the insulation part. Add one of the octagon plastic plates. Insert the octagon foam insulation part with one small hole in the middle. Insert the last of the octagon plastic plates. Now, use the last of the medium-sized plastic tube and slide it in. Insert the last of the octagon foam insulation parts. Slide in the last of the metal octagon panels. Make sure that the green, pretty side faces upwards. Finally, slide the last of the small plastic tube. Now, use the second A-frame for the composter and attach it to the threaded rods that are pointing up. Make sure that the back of the A-frame is facing the back of the composter. Note that the back leg of the composter has 2 more holes than the front leg. Attach the flat rod to the bottom of the back leg. Now it's time to use the nuts you already used earlier. Attach them to the threaded rod and hand tighten them. Attach the flat rod onto the front leg using a bolt and a nut. Secure the rod using a 13mm or 1/2 inch and a 14mm or 9/16 inch wrench. Raise the composter and use an adjustable wrench and a 13mm or 1/2 inch wrench to tighten both nuts at the bottom of the composter and on the top. This part is easier if done by 2 people, 1 on each side. Now it's time to secure the insulation onto the octagon plastic plates. Do this by using the plastic screws and plastic nuts provided. Line up the plastic plates and push the screw halfway into the insulation. Pull it out, then push it in from the other side. If you use this technique, then it will be easier to attach the 2 plates to the insulation. Once you have one screw going from one side to the other through the holes in the plate, you take a plastic nut and screw it into the plastic screw. On the outside insulation, you're going to start with lining up the holes on the insulation with the air holes on the octagon steel panel. Once you have them lined up, you'll push one plastic screw all the way through the insulation to the other side. There, you will add a plastic washer and then a plastic nut. Continue to do this on the other side. Once all the screws are in place, you can take an electric screwdriver and secure the plastic screws. Just be careful not to scratch the painted surface. You can also do this by hand. Now it's time to add the panels to the composter. Start with lining up the octagon panels so that the air holes face upward and the middle section is in line with the other sides. The first panel you'll add is the one with two latches on. Place it in the front where it will sit and then tumble it so that it sits on top of the composter. It will be easier to assemble in this way. When you assemble the panels, it's important that you make sure the rectangular panels go on the outside of the octagon panels. Line up the holes on the two panels as follows. Use a manual screwdriver to screw in the self-taping screws. This is sometimes quite difficult and will require some strength. It's made this way so that the composter will last longer. After you attach the panels, you can use an electric screwdriver to secure the panels. Again, be careful not to scratch the paint on the panels. This can be done manually as well. Also note that when you use an electric screwdriver, you need to set it to a low setting so that you don't damage the holes and screws. Attach the panels in the following order. One panel with a handle. a panel without a handle, another panel with a handle, the last panel without a handle, the last panel with a handle. The last panel has two lids. The hinges on one of the panels will connect with the panel with the two lids, making it possible to close and open the composter. These hinges can be adjusted to your preferences. The hinges also have a place for a padlock if needed. Now it's time for the last part of the build-up. Turn the composter around and attach the support rod at the back. You attach the rod with 4 bolts and 4 nuts. The support rod lines up with 4 holes at the back of the composter. Secure the rod using a 13mm or 1/2 inch and a 14mm or 9/16 inch wrench. Now it's time to put it in your backyard and start producing amazing compost that your plants will love. Thank you for watching this assembly video. Make sure and visit our website, joracomposter.com, for more info.